everyone. Before you watch this video, make sure you've seen part 1. The link will be in the description. Sorry this part is a week later than usual. I made a post on my community tab, but for those of you who haven't seen it, I had a loss in my family recently, as well as my cat getting into an accident. Since I made that post, I also had to go into hospital myself, so yeah, you could say a lot has been happening in my personal life. But I have some good news that my little conehead Milo is finally seeming to be on the mend. I'm hoping he'll be all better in a week or so. Anyways, with all that out of the way, I hope you enjoy part 2. It was getting late, the sun had set, and the gang of stranded students had had a very long day, but they were finally back at the dorms. Ida, Momo, you guys, they're back? Home sweet home. OMG, are you all okay? Well, we're all very tired. And gross, I haven't showered with soap in days. We appreciate your concern, but I'm sure we'd all just like to wash and rest. Of course. Have you been checked over by medics yet? On the boat back we were all tested for things. Come on Jiro, all us girls will have a bath together. You can fill us in, yeah? I'll try. Don't let me fall asleep in the bath. Aw man, would it be such a crime if I joined the girls instead? The girls huddled round Jiro and helped lead her to the girls' bath, all fawning over her to ensure she was okay, and as Kami mindlessly began following them, Kiri grabbed his arm to drag him in the opposite direction. Don't even try it, bro. We should have our own manly group bath instead. What's manly about bathing? You're so weird. It'll be nice and relaxing though, Ka-chan. Better than a shower. Cha, fine. You barely need convincing at all when it comes to Midoriya. Shut up. They made it to the boys' bathroom and 3 of them immediately stripped down and sank into the warm soapy water. However, Bakugo and Deku were suddenly keenly aware of each other's presence in this situation. Are you two getting in? You were on the island even longer than us, come on, you stink. They're shy. No, it's not about being shy, it's just. He looked to Deku in the corner of his eye, and the freckled boy was wringing his hands together with red cheeks, very clearly shy. I didn't want to bother you guys with questions, but like, are you dating now? Well. Yeesh, they're so awkward, this is making me cringe. Fuck this, Isuko, we've been in the group baths a bunch of times before, just cause we kissed doesn't mean anything is different, right? I guess, I just, maybe I won't look at you. Huh? Why not? Because I'm shy? So could you not look at me either? But, what about the others? Well, they're just like normal to me, so I don't mind. Fuck no? You're not gonna let them look at you and not me? That's so unfair. But Ka-chan, aren't you worried? I'm worried about them seeing you, yes? You realize we don't care about seeing either of you naked at all, right? I care. Don't look at him, Isuko. Look, I'll stand here, you can take off your clothes and I'll shield you till you get in the water. Yeesh, what's made you so possessive? You couldn't even answer Karibro's question about you dating? Midoriya, would you like me to block Bakugo from seeing you? Well, thank you for offering, but it's okay, I guess. You guess? Fine nerd, do whatever you want. Bakugo huffed before finally pulling his shirt over his head, reaching for his bottoms as Deku squeaked and turned away, only making the blonde boy more annoyed as he stripped down to nothing and stumped into the water. Cha, there, I covered my unsightly body for you, your highness, and I'm looking at the fucking wall. You happy? Sorry, Ka-chan. Deku pouted, feeling conflicted inside from the guilt and relief he simultaneously felt, finally being able to take his clothes off and shyly sink into the water. How did it get even more awkward? So, the water's nice, right? We were only there for one night, but it's crazy how much sand got into not so nice places. Real, remind me to never camp on the beach. It really wasn't as bad as you guys are making it out to be. True? I thought it was a fun experience. Of course you enjoyed it, you find the positives in everything, and Bakugo literally fell in love or something. Of course it wasn't bad. Can't you just shut up about that? Just pretend nothing happened? You expect me to pretend I never saw you with your tongues down each other's throats? Yes, dumbass. It's none of your business. Midoriya, are you okay? The two arguing boys quietened down as Todoroki's question went unanswered, and Bakugo immediately panicked, turning away from the wall to face Deku on the other side of the bath. Fuck, did he pass out? Bakugo didn't hesitate to push through the water toward the freckled boy, cupping his face and peeling one of his eyes open, only to still get no response. Is he alright? Clearly fucking not. One of you assholes get a towel, quick. Bakugo lifted Deku out the water and laid him on the tiled ground, feeling his pulse and checking his breath, his heart rate steadying a little as he confirmed everything was normal. He pressed a hand to his head and realized how hot he was. His skin was flushed red and it was clear he had a very high temperature. Here, towels. Oi, get back, don't look at him. Seriously Bakugo, I don't think now's the time to worry about your petty jealousy. Here dude, I got you one too. Bakugo glared at Todoroki before hastily covering Deku up with a towel, and then wrapping the other round his waist. Hey Isuka, can you respond? Alright, I'm taking you to the nurses. Should we come? No. But Bakugo, if you want to be helpful then get there faster than me and tell them I'm coming. Todoroki was clearly mad but nodded nonetheless, the three boys all rushing to throw their clothes on and hurry to Recovery Girl. Hey you can't dry and dress yourself right? Fuck, I know you didn't want me to see but I'm more worried about your safety right now, I promise it doesn't matter to me. Bakugo felt guilty but knew Deku's health was more important, so he quickly patted his body down with the towel and put his clothes back on, also getting dressed himself, before lifting the dazed boy into his arms and carrying him out the bathroom. Ka-chan. Don't speak, just rest, I'm taking you to Recovery Girl, you'll be fine. Deku rested his head against Bakugo's chest and the blonde boy could feel the way his heart was squeezing, he was so worried. Deku most likely only had a fever but Bakugo had always been so overly concerned for his safety, and somehow it was worse now. He finally made it to the medical room and the boys had already got a bed ready with Recovery Girl waiting to the side, so Bakugo laid Deku down and stood with the others anxiously. I see. What's wrong with him? Will he be okay? All the sun from being on the island and the boat back here has finally caught up to him. He has mild heat stroke. Bringing him to the hot baths right away probably didn't help. Yes, but he'll be fine. She leant down to press a kiss to his head and the frown on Deku's brow instantly relaxed. He'll just have a fever for a while, hopefully I got rid of most of the worst symptoms. Thank you. He needs to rest in a cool place, and if someone could watch over him to give him a cooling cloth every so often when it warms up, and to give him this medication once he's awake. Bakugo immediately stepped forward and held his hand out to take the meds, making the old lady pause in hesitation. Now hang on, aren't you the one who always fights with Midoriya, one of the reasons he ends up in here so often? Well, yes but I could watch over him. Bakugo will do a great job. You can trust him, I swear. He really will. Come on Todoroki, you didn't need to put yourself forward. Right? Sorry. Bakugo will look after him well. Alright, if you say so, bring him back here if he doesn't wake up within the next few hours, or if his condition seems to be getting worse. Okay, thanks. She handed Bakugo the medication and sent them all on their way. Deku curled up in Bakugo's arms once again. I'm sorry for stepping in, but I really could help you, with my ice and all. I'm good, I don't need your help. He turned and immediately stormed off, taking Deku up to his dorm and lying him gently onto his bed. He placed the meds on his bedside cabinet before hesitantly rushing off to get him a glass of water and a cool wet cloth for his head. He hated leaving him alone, and it made him think that maybe he should have accepted someone's help, but he couldn't help feeling so off about Todoroki since their conversation at the island. He made it back to his room and Deku was still sleeping soundly. His skin already looked a little less red but Bakugo still placed the cloth on his head and put the water beside him. He stood there for a moment, and took a deep breath, finally relaxing a little as he crouched beside the bed and reached up to hold Deku's hand. Cha, why didn't you say you weren't feeling right, silly? You always push yourself too hard. He sighed and rested his head on the edge of the mattress, looking up at Deku before suddenly feeling exhaustion wash over him. Oh shit, I'm so tired, I can't fall asleep, gotta keep watch over him. Despite trying so hard to stay awake, Bakugo's eyelids kept slowly drooping shut, until he had passed out on the ground, leaning against the bed with their hands still clasped together. 30 minutes later. Ugh, my head is killing me, it's so hot, why's it so hot? The freckled boy slowly stirred awake, his eyes struggling to peel open as his head throbbed with pain and his skin felt like it was on fire. His vision was blurry as he looked around in confusion, until he spotted some band posters on the wall and looked down as he caught sight of blonde spikes beside him. Oh, I'm in Ka-chan's room, is he asleep? On the floor? Ka-chan. He realized their hands were still connected and squeezed gently, in attempt to get the boy's attention while his voice wasn't working so well. Bakugo's eyes practically snapped open the instant he felt the way his hand was squeezed, and he immediately panicked. You're awake? Shit, why wasn't I awake? Fuck, I fell asleep. I'm so sorry. He clambered to his feet and his heart was racing at the sight before him. Deku's skin was flushed red and his breathing was shaky, his eyes drooping as he tried to smile weakly. Bakugo checked the time and felt the guilt eating away at him. He hadn't changed Deku's cooling cloth a single time and at this point it was just as hot as his skin. I'm so sorry. Here, look, there's water and you need to take these meds. Let me go make this cold again for you. I'm so sorry. Deku wanted nothing more than to reassure him it was okay, there was no need to be sorry, but he was just too weak to even speak. All he could do was try his best to smile as Bakugo handed him the water and meds before leaving the room with his cloth. I'm so fucking useless. How could I possibly fall asleep while he's right there passed out after I reassured everyone I had it under control? I fucking fell asleep. He continued to inwardly beat himself up as he hurried back to his room with the freshly cooled cloth, re-entering to see Deku shuffling himself back into a lying position with the glass of water back beside him. I took the... Hey, don't speak, just rest. He put the cloth back on his head as Deku gulped and reached a hand up for him to hold again. Thank you. Bakugo couldn't respond. He didn't deserve any thanks for this. He had completely failed at the one task he said he was adamant he could do. He pulled a chair closer to the side of his bed and sat down, holding Deku's hand with both his own and watching over him as he closed his eyes again. I'm sorry. He barely whispered, his heart thumping hard in his chest as he felt the worst he'd felt about himself in so long. I've always treated him like shit, even though I knew how much I cared about him. It took like 2 fucking nights on a stupid island for my dumbass to finally acknowledge just how important he is to me. Like, I know I've always been weirdly protective of him, despite me simultaneously always threatening to kill him. But now, why does it feel like I can't even breathe properly just looking at him like this? He must feel so awful right now. Bakugo stayed in the chair for another 20 minutes, refusing to take his eyes off of Deku except to blink, until he checked and realized the cloth was hot again. I must be doing something wrong. Why isn't he getting better? He still looks like he's suffering. Should I take him back to the nurses? But moving him again probably isn't a good idea. He chewed his lips as his leg began bouncing anxiously, but after a moment longer battling internally, he swallowed his pride and caved, pulling his phone from his pocket and clicking someone's contact. What's up? Is Midoriya okay? Sigh, I need your help. His dorm or yours? Mine. Before another word could be said, Todoroki had hung up, and all Bakugo could do was sit and wait in frustration. It felt like barely a minute had passed before his door was creeping open and Bakugo was jumping up in a hurry. Stay quiet, don't wake him up. You look so stressed. Of course I do, dumbass, cause I am. He wished he could yell but knew he had to keep his voice down to not disturb Deku, so instead he huffed and handed Todoroki the warm cloth expectantly. Just keep it cold, but don't freeze him. I know how to use my quirk, Bakugo, you don't have to worry. Todoroki stepped closer and sat into Bakugo's seat, pressing the cloth against Deku's head and starting to use his ice to cool him down. They both sat in silence as Bakugo watched Todoroki take care of Deku, continuing to hate himself inside for being incapable of doing it all himself. Until finally, the pained expression on Deku's resting face subsided once more, and his breath steadied as he seemed to be sleeping peacefully at last. Sigh, I feel like such an idiot, thanks for helping. I would have helped from the start. I know, I was being stubborn, I wanted to be the one to help him, after all he's done for me. I see. Todoroki looked to Bakugo, but the blonde still refused to take his eyes off of Deku, and it got him thinking again, being unable to keep his curiosity inside. So, was that the first time you kissed? Huh, what? The island, why are we talking about that again? You can tell me to shut up, but I really am just trying to be a good friend. Don't you want someone to talk to about it? It seems like a pretty big deal. I mean, I guess. Was it your first kiss in general? No, well, he was, but he actually kissed me before what you saw. Oh, in that cave, the first time you guys heard the explosions, he caught me off guard. I mean, come on, I wasn't expecting him to kiss me at all. So he did initiate it then, I thought so. What's that supposed to mean? I always took you for someone who wouldn't make the first move, either because you didn't realize you were even interested, or just because you wouldn't ever assume he felt the same. Well, obviously I wouldn't. I've always been horrible to him. I'm just surprised Midoriya found the courage to finally make his move. Finally? So, You knew how he felt? He would confide in me sometimes. That's mostly why I questioned you so hard at first. I panicked. Dude, I thought you were jealous. Huh? You thought I had a crush on you? Not me, Izuku? Oh, no, I don't. You're just gonna say it simply like that? You don't wanna reassure me or anything? Midoriya is the first real friend I had, so maybe I don't entirely know the boundaries of what a friendship should be. I'm sorry if I make you uncomfortable, but wait, so does this mean you do like him as more than a friend? Well, obviously I do. I kissed him. Don't some people just have flings? You think I'm the sort of person to have a fling with the one person who has been consistently a massive part of my life for as long as I can remember? I guess not. No. So are you gay? What? I don't know. Oh? I've never felt like this about anyone except him. I don't think I've felt it ever. It's weird. What's it like? Bakugo's eyes widened as he looked to Todoroki, his cheeks going pink as he thought about how he could possibly describe the way he feels about the beautiful freckled boy sleeping just beside them. Well, I guess since he explained how he felt about me, it kind of made me realize that all this frustration I had probably stemmed from the same place. Like you've seen how I act when he's involved, I do stupid shit cause I just can't get my brain to focus on what it should, and he's the same? If he's in danger then nothing else matters. I feel like I am protective of the people around me though. It's different than just being protective. It's like everything inside you is screaming in pure panic to do literally anything to save them. Even now he's just sick. He's fine but he's in pain, so it's making me feel shit. I see. I guess I'm nowhere near as stressed as you are right now, because when I look at Midoriya I know he's generally okay despite the current sickness, but you're saying that you won't be able to relax until he's better? Exactly, and if I could I would just take it from him. I'd be the one in pain in his place. One time Mina scraped her knee and I did think for a moment that I wished I could take the pain for her. Well, I'm sure friends do feel like that sometimes too. Of course you don't want your friends to be hurt. Look, I'm bad at explaining this shit. I don't know exactly why or how it's different from being friends, but it just is. But if you don't know, then how do you know it is? Because I'm in love with him? I just am. I don't have an explanation for you, but I am. Oh, when I asked you that before you couldn't answer. You caught me off guard and I hadn't thought about it in that context, but of course I do, it's obvious. You love me? Bakugo's head whipped back across to Deku, noticing the boy was staring right at him with wide eyes glistening in awe. You're awake again? Are you feeling any better? I love you too. I know. I know you know, but I'll still tell you every day. Ahem, how are you feeling, Midoriya? Oh, pretty good I think. Todoroki moved the cloth away from his head and went to feel his skin, only for Bakugo to stand up and grasp his wrist. Don't touch his head, tisk. Todoroki only rolled his eyes as Bakugo gently pressed the back of his hand against Deku's head, almost getting lost in each other's eyes until he cleared his throat and moved back. You do feel cooler, but you still have to rest. You're not better just like that. I'm glad you're feeling better though. Last time I woke up it was just Ka-chan here. Did you come and help look after me? Bakugo called me. Yeah. I didn't want to. You called him for me? I wasn't doing a good enough job on my own. You were doing the best you could. Better than most people would. Don't beat yourself up just cause you don't have the right quirk for it. I don't need a pep talk. I appreciate it, Todoroki-kun. Thank you for your help, and for trying to make Ka-chan feel better. You're welcome. Here, I'll freeze the cloth and give you two some space. He used his ice to make the cloth super cold, hoping it would be enough to help for the rest of the night, before standing up to leave. Thanks. Oh, of course. Bakugo felt himself going red with embarrassment and refused to look at the half-and-half boy as he smiled and giddily left the dorm. Thank you, Ka-chan. I didn't do anything. You stayed by my side the entire time. You kept watch and made sure I was okay. You even put your pride aside and called Todoroki for help. That's incredible and I really appreciate you so much. I was just super worried about you. It felt awful, especially after I accidentally fell asleep. I felt like such a failure. What? Ka-chan, you had also spent just as much time as me on that island. I feel like a failure for being the only one to come down with something like heat stroke. But even if you aren't unwell you still must be exhausted. Of course you fell asleep, that's understandable, and look, I'm okay now, right? So it's all fine. Are you sure? Deku rolled his eyes and immediately moved to stand from the bed, making Bakugo panic and hold his shoulders, only to be caught off guard as Deku pulled him down to peck his lips sweetly. Oh, I love you. Cha, love you too. This is embarrassing. Deku sighed and let Bakugo move him to sit back down again, getting comfy on the bed before he looked away and his cheeks tinted pink. This isn't embarrassing at all. The only thing I'm embarrassed about is that you had to dry and dress me. Bakugo's eyes widened and they both blushed hard, but seeing how red Deku's face was made him panic. Oi, stop thinking of things that will only make the blood rush back to your head. You're supposed to be keeping your fever down. Sorry, but it's kind of impossible when you're around cause I can't help getting flustered. Well, I'm not leaving, so you just have to control yourself. Of course I can control myself, don't say it like that. You're the one thinking of strange things. Why was I not allowed to see you naked anyway, huh? You just told me to stop thinking about it? Well yeah, but I'm still confused why everyone else was allowed to but not me. Deku's face immediately flushed darker red, which only made the blonde boy panic harder and press the cold cloth against his head. Yeesh, alright, just don't worry about it until you're better, but I will be asking again. Oh okay. Sigh, maybe you should just try to go back to sleep. It's almost 9 by now. But I'm not tired anymore. Will you sit with me and watch a movie? If that'll help you feel better then, sure. Hey, but drink more water. He huffed to hide his shy embarrassment, shoving the glass into Deku's hands before grabbing his laptop and nervously climbing onto his own bed to settle beside the freckled boy. What do you wanna watch then, nerd? Something cute. Really? Or whatever you wanna watch, I don't mind. Well, if watching a cute movie is best for your fever and stuff, then we can watch one. Have you ever seen Totoro? Cha, when I was like 4, fine, I'll find it. Deku smiled sweetly as Bakugo got the movie ready, feeling his heart race as the shorter boy leaned his head against his shoulder. They watched mostly in silence, except for the odd giggle on Deku's part whenever something funny happened, until about halfway through when Bakugo realized he'd been quiet for a while. And it was only then that he noticed how steady his breathing was, and he peered down to see his eyes closed peacefully. Cha, and he said he wasn't tired anymore. Bakugo from a week ago would have teased Deku, probably woken him up and told him to go to bed in his own room, but Bakugo today only smiled, reaching up to brush his fingers through Deku's wavy hair before leaning down to press a kiss to his head. Sleep well, Izuku. The next morning, Deku was the first to wake up, and as his eyes slowly blinked open, skin warm and nose filled with the soft scent of Bakugo's bedsheets, he felt his stomach twisting and turning, having to desperately hold himself back from kicking his legs around giddily. Instead, he leaned up on his side and peered down at the blonde boy who was still fast asleep, this time not even trying to stop himself from climbing onto him to cover his pretty face with kisses. Bakugo woke up to the feeling of lips being pressed to his head and cheeks. He almost panicked and shoved the weight on top of him away, until his sleepy brain registered who it was and instantly squeezed Deku tightly, burying his face into his chest. Morning. How you feeling? He mumbled with his husky morning voice, nuzzling only deeper into Deku's shirt that intoxicated his brain with nothing but his fresh scent. I'm okay. The way Deku squeaked out his response made Bakugo lean back to peek up at him, suddenly noticing how red his face was and instantly panicking, rolling over to pin him down and press a hand to his head. Oi, you don't feel super hot, why are you so red? I'm fine. It's just, you make me flustered. Bakugo sighed in relief and immediately flopped down on top of Deku, hugging him tight as the freckled boy only lay there frozen with a racing heartbeat. Yeesh, you weren't lying, I can hear your heartbeat, nerd. Well, I never expected you to be so clingy. Cha, I'll stop if you don't like it. No, I do like it, you can stay. He pleaded and brought a hand up to brush through Bakugo's hair that was rested on his chest. I'm just like this in the mornings. I always wake up cuddling a pillow and never wanna let go. Sigh, getting out of bed is my biggest struggle in the day and now it's only gonna get worse. Pfft, that's funny. Huh? My struggles are funny to you, Bakugo instantly lifted himself off Deku and climbed higher up his body, glaring at him with a simultaneous playful smirk. Whoa, wait, no, Ka-chan, sorry? He ignored Deku's protests and grabbed his flapping hands to pin them either side of his head, leaning down to start nibbling at his neck as Deku's legs began thrashing around. Wait, haha, stop, it tickles, haha. Bakugo only laughed against his skin and kept going even as tears of laughter sprung out the corners of Deku's eyes, until there was a knock at the door. Who the heck would be knocking at my door in the morning? He huffed in annoyance but clambered off of Deku to make his way to the door, leaving the freckled boy to wipe his tears and sit wide-eyed on the bed. Bakugo opened his door ready to yell but paused as he came face to face with Todoroki on the other side. What do you want? Oh, I was just going to ask what happened with Midoriya last. He trailed off as he looked behind Bakugo and spotted Deku in his bed, instantly making him flush red and take a step back in shock. Sorry for interrupting. Wait, it's not what it looks like. We were watching a movie last night. We must have just passed out together. Deku raced out of bed toward the door and Todoroki seemed to relax a little, until his eyes glued to Deku's neck and noticed a few of the small bites and rosy spots Bakugo had just decorated it with. I'll just go. I'm glad you're better, Midoriya. They watched him leave and Deku frowned in confusion, looking up to Bakugo as he shut the door and tried to hold back his laughter. What was that about? I wonder. Deku's eyes widened as Bakugo stepped closer and placed his hands on his waist, leaning in close and kissing the same spot on Deku's neck, then jaw, then cheek. I think he just understood that you're mine. Doesn't want to get in the way. How kind of him. Oh. Deku gulped thickly before looking to Bakugo's lips, both of them hovering close until he hurriedly reached up to pull him down and kiss him again. Bakugo melted against him and stumbled them both across to the wall, their lips smacking as their hands desperately grasped at hair and clothes. The last time they kissed like this they were keenly aware of how many people were around, but now they were alone. Bakugo was unsure if he'd be able to stop. Their tongues clashed and Bakugo grunted into his mouth, pressing his body closer and running a hand up the back of Deku's shirt. The way his fingers trailed over his bare skin made Deku gasp and arch his body. Their lower halves pressed together and Deku felt his stomach twist, involuntarily moaning into Bakugo's mouth and making the blonde boy's nails dig into his skin as his teeth instinctively bit down on his lip. They both panted as he pulled back in shock and rested his forehead against Deku's shoulder, both of them red and flustered as Deku's were on the verge of buckling below him. If his hands weren't clasped behind Bakugo's neck he's sure he would have collapsed by now. Holy fuck. I love you. Bakugo merely turned to press his swollen lips against Deku's neck, mumbling that he loved him too as they caught their breaths. Ka-chan. Be my boyfriend. You said I was yours but I'm not, so make me yours. Be mine. Bakugo felt his heart thumping in his chest, and it felt like his insides were being swarmed by this sickeningly warm fuzzy feeling. He wants to be together for real, officially together. After so many years of being so awful to him he wants to be with me. Overwhelmed by the sudden request, all Bakugo could do was pull Deku close and hug him tightly, hiding his face once again and humming softly. Is that a yes? Bakugo took a deep breath before hesitantly leaning back to look him in the eye only for Deku to see just how rosy his cheeks had gone. Yeah. You're really cute when you blush. Liar. Will you go on a date with me? We can go and get breakfast together somewhere small and quiet. I don't really want to be cooped up in your room all day. My room is great. What do ya mean? Of course it is. I'm honestly still in shock you let me stay in here, but I'd still like to go out somewhere with you. Our first date? I mean, I've never been on a date. Isn't it awkward? Well, I'm not sure. I haven't either, but doing anything with you is always fun. Oh, okay, then, sure. Deku grinned widely and held Bakugo's hand, pulling it up to his lips as the blonde boy stood there dumbfounded. I'm gonna go get ready at my dorm, alright? I'll come back to get you when I'm ready. Bakugo was so bewildered he could only gulp and nod as the freckled boy continued beaming that beautiful smile at him, until he kissed his hand once more and waved as he left the room. The moment he was gone and the door was closed Bakugo slapped himself across the face, reaching up to tug on his hair as his eyes stared at the floor in utter shock. I'm so embarrassing. What the fuck was that? Why does he keep making my stupid brain malfunction? What am I, a defective robot that combusts from a little flirting? He continued ranting to himself as he dug through his closet for an outfit, rambling about how pathetic he was being to let the nerd get the better of him so many times. All while he was blushing and littering himself with pretty rings and piercings, dabbing on his favorite perfume and smudging on just a little eyeliner. If he was gonna go on his first date he was going to look his absolute best. He had to blow Isuku away, of course. Hey Ka-chan, it's me, are you ready? Deku's sweet voice called through the door and Bakugo felt his heartbeat picking up again. He was suddenly so nervous. Was he overdressed? Underdressed? Was he supposed to plan something to say as he opened the door or while they were out? He didn't know any date etiquette at all. Ka-chan, are you alright? Oh, hi. Bakugo swung the door open and stared at the freckled boy. His eyes scanned over him and he almost felt like he was drooling. Izuku looked so damn good in a khaki shirt and denim shorts, a few pieces of jewelry of his own for extra decoration, and he was clearly wearing a deep, warm, woody, natural cologne. Bakugo had to look away, bringing a hand to his face to try and hide his blush. You're evil. Deku only laughed and reached forward to hold Bakugo's other hand, tilting his head as if waiting for further explanation. It's not fair for you to do all this when I only just realized how I felt. I finally accepted that you're pretty, but now I have to admit you're super hot too? Totally unfair. Thank you, Ka-chan. You look beautiful by the way, and you've got some catching up to do because I've thought that about you for years. Deku grinned and stepped backwards, pulling Bakugo out of his dorm room as the blonde boy pouted and closed the door behind him. Cha, of all things you could have said you called me beautiful? 'Cause you are? Aren't I closer to looking cool, or badass or something? You're basically always cool, but right now I can tell you dressed up to look pretty even if it was only subconsciously. Stupid nerd, I'd never wanna look pretty. Whatever you say, Ka-chan, but I think you're pretty. Bakugo felt conflicted inside. He wanted to be mad. How dare dumb Deku have the nerve to call him something so pathetic like pretty, but instead of being mad he only found himself feeling flattered, with rosy cheeks as his stomach fluttered warmly. He trailed behind Deku as they headed down the stairs to leave the dorms, but as they reached the common area they were blissfully unaware of a group of girls who were promptly dragged behind a couch by Mina. Whoa, what are you? Shush, look. The girls peeked over the couch and watched as Bakugo and Deku headed out the dorms, smiling and laughing and blushing as they shyly linked their pinkies together to walk side by side. What the fuck was that? That was so fucking cute. Since when did that develop? Are they dating or something? I may not have given you every single detail of what happened on the island. Jiro, how dare you hide such critical information from us? I wasn't sure if anything was going to come of it. I really don't know much, so I didn't want to say anything in case it was either nothing or meant to be a secret, but they did just walk by casually flirting in the open, so, not my problem. Exactly? So tell us? Okay, they may have kissed. What? And you didn't? Oh my god. What was it like? Was it long? Where did they put their hands? Was there tongue? Guys, oh my god, hang on. I didn't watch them kiss, I looked away. Cha, you missed a big scoop. Mina pouted and turned to peer over the couch again, only to realize the two boys had completely vanished already. I'm going to follow them. I'm coming with you? That feels a little invasive. I'm going back to my room. The two girls raced out the dorms and instantly spotted the boys further down the street, following them secretly from a distance until they finally turned into a quiet, cozy cafe. They watched through the windows as they were led to a table, until Mina was starting to get frustrated. This is pointless. I need to be able to hear what they're saying. We can just go get some coffee, and if they see us we'll pretend we had no idea they were here. You're a genius. So they entered the cafe and were seated only a few tables away from Bakugo and Deku, but the boys were so infatuated with each other they didn't even glance away from one another's eyes, leaning across the table with their hands linked. I'd love to share a room with you more often, most nights. I'd suggest every night, but I know you like personal space. Well, waking up with you was really nice. I was so tired last night I don't remember falling asleep, so I'm not sure if it would be difficult for me usually or not. We can try it. I don't want to push you. Thank you. Oh, but how are you going to share a room with me if you can't even change with me around? You know. He leaned closer and Deku's eyes widened as he felt Bakugo's breath on his ear with a hushed whisper. How you won't let me see you naked? Deku instantly choked on his own saliva and sat back, feeling his cheeks burn as he looked around in panic to see if anyone had heard him, which only made him instantly spot his pink classmate right nearby. Mamina? He stood up abruptly and Bakugo whipped his head round to look at the aforementioned girl as well, feeling himself instantly getting annoyed. What the heck are you doing here? We're here for coffee. Hagakur-san? We had no idea you were here. What a lovely surprise. Yeah, right? You have that look on your face like you were snooping. Nah? Do you think the world revolves around you or something? OMG. Huh? You think you're so slick, huh? Ka-chan, wait, quiet down. But it was too late. the manager promptly headed to their tables and asked for the 4 students to leave after disrupting their other customers. They were all instantly apologetic, but Bakugo was now even more mad, so continued arguing with Mina even as they were kicked to the street. Look at what you did. You're the one who started yelling? 'Cause you're always trying to get in on everyone's business. I know, I'm sorry, okay? It's okay, Mina-san. No, it's not. You used to pressure Pink Cheeks about her crush on Izuku as well? I didn't mean to. I just don't know what it feels like to crush on someone, or love them, whatever. I like knowing more about it from my friends, 'cause I hope one day it'll happen to me. Mina, it'll definitely happen? Cha, you can't make me feel bad for you after you ruined our first date. So it really was a date? And it still is. Don't let this ruin it, Ka-chan. We can just do something else. I'm really sorry. I just wanted to know if you were actually in a relationship or if it was just some weird little fling. Why does everyone assume that? There is no way I actually seem like I'd do that sort of thing. I mean, definitely not to me, since I've never seen you date anyone at all. That's 'cause I haven't. Except you, 'cause I went and fucking fell in love with you. Love? For real? You're so cute. I'll cry. I'm still pretty shocked about it, honestly, so I understand that reaction. Now I feel even more guilty. I'll go now. Seriously, I'll never bother you again. Please continue being cute and gay. I'll ruin your first date one day. I'll count on it. The 2 girls ran off together, immediately rambling about how unexpected but cute the new couple were, and Bakugo sighed in frustration until Deku turned to press a kiss to his cheek. Where do you want to go now? I dunno. Come on, you can't let something silly like that spoil the whole day. It's barely even 11:30. If I'm being honest, I just really want the answer to my question. What question? You know exactly what question. Deku sighed, already accepting his own defeat despite how red he was going with embarrassment. But before he could answer, he had to take Bakugo's hand and lead him down a quiet alley beside the cafe. Are you planning to murder me down here so you don't have to answer? No? Stupid, I just can't talk about it around random passers-by. Who you calling stupid, huh? Bakugo was cut off as Deku pressed him up against the wall in the alley, his head down to avoid eye contact as he finally began explaining in a low murmur. I don't care if you see me naked, Ka-chan. I was just nervous about it in front of everyone else because, well, you know, hormones exist. Bakugo stayed quiet but could feel his cheeks heating up as the cogs in his brain turned to interpret what Deku meant. We're both attracted to each other, and I wasn't sure if I'd be able to stop my mind from going places after I saw you. Now that we've kissed and established some feelings, and if it did, then my body would surely react in a certain type of way, and that would be embarrassing for everyone. You were worried you'd get hard? Deku instantly slapped a hand over his mouth and looked both ways down the alley in panic. Yes, it's a very valid concern, Izuku. Bakugo laughed a little and the freckled boy only pouted, taking a step back and wanting to evaporate from embarrassment until Bakugo pulled him closer again. I've gotten hard in the group baths from looking at you before, so yeah, valid concern indeed. You have? But, didn't you only just figure out your feelings super recently? Deku was absolutely flabbergasted, but Bakugo merely shrugged and looked up in thought. It's happened a few times over the last year or so. I was always a tiny bit embarrassed and pretty confused, I guess, but I figured it only happened because your body is built all curvy and strong and shit, you know? I was sure my hormones were only reacting the image and not you as a person. Deku immediately felt conflicted inside. On one hand, he was extremely flattered to know that Bakugo Katsuki, the boy he'd been in love with for as long as he could remember, found him so physically attractive that he couldn't control the hormones in his body just from looking at him. But on the other hand, he was offended to think that his body was the only thing about him that Bakugo was attracted to. And his emotions must have been written clearly on his face because the blonde boy instantly blinked in panic and reached up to cup his cheek. Hey, but obviously I was very wrong. I was clearly off in the land of delusion and lying to myself because it's so much more than that. What if it's not? Bakugo paused at the question, feeling his own face going blank in disbelief as he held Deku's shoulders back to look him in the eye. Izuku, are you seriously thinking that right now? You really think I'd tell you I love you, agree to be your boyfriend, and go on an actual date with you, in public, if all I cared about was your body? Deku looked into his eyes and opened his mouth like a lost fish, suddenly feeling incredibly stupid. No, I guess not. Cha, exactly, Now let's go buy some corn to feed the ducks. Deku gasped and immediately held on to Bakugo's hands in shock, his eyes sparkling as he grinned widely. Really? Of course, I know you're a sap who enjoys that shit. Hehe. Thank you Ka-chan, I love you. I love you too nerd. The end. People keep asking me for more smut, and of course I do want to make more someday, but it needs to feel right in the story. And this version of Bakudeku just don't feel like they'd go do the hanky-panky right now, you know? I think the next concept I'm making into a video could totally lead to smut though. I'll try my best to make it happen for y'all. Anyways, I hope you liked this story. It was only ever supposed to be one part, but this cute little continuation just felt right to me. Sorry if you wanted more, but I'm ready for the next idea now. I hope you'll subscribe to be there for it. Love you all so much.